training video. We're going to talk about the expandable steel baton, or the self-defense steel stick, expandable version, and whether or not you can defend yourself with it. So the question is, can you defend yourself with the steel expandable self-defense stick? Now, this is a tool that law enforcement uses. It's a non-lethal option in many cases. That's why they carry it. So they can use this, go to this, instead of going to one of these. So obviously we know that law enforcement uses it in self-defense, in apprehension of bad guys and criminals, but can you use it? Can I use it in self-defense? Now, in certain states, you can carry it. You can have this. You can either carry it open, or if it's concealed, sometimes you need to have a concealed carry permit. Some states don't allow it. Some jurisdictions don't allow it. Some countries don't allow it at all. So you'll have to do that research on your own to see whether that's an option for you. But if you're here in Florida, if you're in a lot of the states in the United States, you can legally carry it. But can you defend yourself with the expandable self-defense stick? And I put a link in the description to a store where you can get your own. If you need one, the link is in the description. If you want to get one that's about this length and is made out of steel. Now, I showed you how to open. I'm going to close it again. There are two kinds. There's one that opens with a button and it pops open, and then there's one like this called a friction baton, which means that the friction of it opening keeps it from closing. When you open it, you pull it out of its holder or its case, like I did, or you might just be carrying it like this. You have to forcefully push it down in order for it to open. Then when it's open, it's not gonna, if you do it hard enough, it's not going to close very easily. So make sure you practice once you get it. First thing you know or have to know how to do is how to open it and keep it open, forcefully opening it so that it doesn't collapse. So that's the first thing you have to know about it. Once it's open, the key is to keep the self-defense steel baton between you and the threat. So another way they call this the expandable steel baton. You'll see it made by ASP. Smith & Wesson makes one. This is a monadnock version, and the one in the description that I put below is a different version, but they're all made pretty much the same. If you get a high quality one, spend a little bit more money, you get a little bit more quality. The first thing you have to know is that you're going to choke up a little bit on the end. So you're not going to hold it at the very end. By choking up a little bit, you get more leverage, and this becomes a striking surface for self-defense. You can use the guys coming up behind you. You can strike him simply by coming down this way. That's in there. You can turn, striking, hitting him with the end, and this is a hard piece of steel. That'll break his jaw. That'll hit that nerve in his neck. It might flush the blood out of his brain. He's gonna fall to the ground. Maybe you hit him in the jaw or the temple. You can knock him unconscious for self-defense. Another great feature is that you have reach advantage. If he's got a bladed weapon and you have your expandable self-defense stick, your steel, he's not gonna be able to cut it, for one. So if you were to block him as he's coming in with a slashing motion with this instead of with this you're gonna get sliced up really badly. Obviously, this is going to intercept, and this isn't gonna get cut. Also, if you were able to strike the hand, you use this steel baton, this steel self-defense stick, against the bones in his wrist, or his forearm, or his hand, or his upper arm, or his elbow. You're gonna break it. You're gonna break his hand that's coming at you with that strike. Now, if you don't hit him the first time, you might also aim for his temple, or his jaw, or his neck in self-defense, and then hit with such force that you knock him unconscious, making it impossible for him to operate this weapon against you. So a self-defense tool that you can use that gives you reach advantage over somebody with a weapon is one bonus, one reason why you can defend yourself with the expandable steel self-defense stick, also known as the expandable baton. So from here, with it in front of your body, a little bit coming out of the end, so you can jab in if you had to respond quickly, striking into the base of his nose, into his teeth, into his throat, into his solar plexus, maybe the top of his chest, into the clavicle, into that hand. Maybe he's holding on to somebody, won't let go. You can smash with this hard piece of steel, pushing against those nerves, forcing him to release, which is why you have a little bit coming out of the pinky side of your hand. from this position between you and him, coming off of the shoulder, never from out here. You don't ever want to swing outside of the frame of your body. If you swing out here and he collapses the distance, you're just going to wrap your arm around him. Most people who operate these, who are punks and criminals, operate them incorrectly. They will swing wildly because they don't have training or common sense or experience. And then if you had to defend yourself against it, you can enter with your hands up, allowing them to just wrap around your button. They're never going to hit you because they're doing it wrong. I want you to know how to defend yourself with this if this is what you choose. If the answer to the question is, can you defend yourself with the steel expandable baton or steel expandable self-defense stick? You want that answer to be yes, learn to strike from your shoulder. So with 1 foot forward, and usually that's going to be the hand that's holding the stick, and that same foot on the same side of the body. This is my right hand, my right foot's forward. You're going to practice this first angular strike. Then if he's coming in, you're going to ask yourself the question, what can you remove or destroy? His ability to see, breathe temporarily, permanently, his ability to be awake and use that weapon against you, hit him in the head, knock him out, his ability to punch you, smashing the hand, smashing the wrist, smashing the elbow, smashing that forearm, breaking those bones with your steel self-defense stick, coming through with this angular strike off of your shoulder. And you're going to practice it. Once you get your self-defense stick, and if you want one or you need one, you can check the link below to see what they cost. They're very inexpensive and they come pretty quickly. You might be in an area where crime is rising. I saw another story last night about another 80-year-old man. This time the man was visiting Detroit from Germany. He was on a Great Lakes cruise. They stopped, he went to a store. Some criminal comes up, a man who they already had arrested several times. He was awaiting trial and sentencing on these other crimes where he was aggressively approaching people and hurting people. Comes up, punches the man in the head, knocks him to the ground. Guy's still unconscious. They don't think he'll ever regain consciousness. He'll probably expire. 80-year-old man, mine is 81 years old, just on a tour. But we see these stories that are happening with more and more frequency and higher volume. I don't want you to be the victim. I want you to understand whether or not you can defend yourself with the expandable self-defense stick. So from here, if you had to, if someone's punching at you, you can smash their hand, right? You can swing this in a way that makes them not want to come any closer to you and hit you. The harder and the faster you strike, the more force coming through this steel that's going into the bone. It's going to compress the flesh and it's going to break the bone. He's not going to be able to hit you with that hand again. If he's trying to choke you or poke you or stab you, grab you, slap you, hit you with a knife, slashing, stabbing, you can smash. This is the way law enforcement uses the expandable baton, is to knock something out of somebody's hand. That's one option. So you would bring it through and you would practice, slow it first, gradually increasing your speed over and over. You would do this first strike for about 30 seconds or more, just to get used to that and start to build your ability to do that. You want two things. You want speed with power, and you want accuracy. And you practice through the center line of the body, this first strike. Now the strike can be done at head level, it can be done at hand level, it can be done into his ribs, it can be done into his waist, into his upper thigh, into his knee. Maybe you walk your dog every day and there are vicious dogs that are running around, or maybe other owners that think it's funny to let their dog come up and maul your dog and you need a self-defense stick. Can you defend yourself with the expandable steel self-defense stick? And the answer is that's a very effective strike against a dog that's trying to hurt your dog, kill your dog, rip your dog apart. So from here, practice those levels: head level, hand level, body level, thigh level, knee level, and then go to the other side, practicing that same angle. And again, the key is from the shoulder through the center line of his body for self-defense, that simple strike. So coming off of that shoulder, practicing the second angle for 30 seconds. This is where I like you, when we're training together, to switch hands, be able to use the other hand evenly. So if you can strike with the right, you should also be able to strike with the left. For multiple reasons that are obvious, but practice on both sides. Good morning, Matthew. It's good to see you. Alita, nice to see you. What else do we have here? Weldon is here. Weldon has been wondering about these. He's in Texas. Weldon, I'm pretty sure you can carry one of these in Texas. If you need one of these, or you just want to see what they cost, what they're made out of, this is the steel expandable baton, or steel self-defense stick is what I call it. I would call it a self-defense stick because that's all I'm going to use it for. I'm not going to be offensive with it. I'm not going to look to hurt people. It's just for self-defense for me and my family when I go out. So the expandable steel self-defense stick or expandable baton, there's a link in the description if you want to see what they are. Pandev says the ones that are available on online shops like Amazon are really weak. They're garbage. They're not allowed to sell them through Amazon, so they give them different names. They call it like an expandable pole or whatever. And they're usually plastic. You could easily break those. I wouldn't get one from Amazon at all, or like Temu or one of those online big stores. Got to go to a specific store. The link that I put in the description below are, it's a martial arts supply where they sell expandable batons for self-defense. So you can get that. Kaushal, let's see, says learn boxing or jiu-jitsu. It's he says it's useless to spend money on stuff like this. The answer is, that's a great opinion. I would assume that you probably don't know how to box or do jiu-jitsu. If you did, you would understand that. And I taught boxing for years and years, and I've done jiu-jitsu. I started judo when I was a kid. I've been doing martial arts since I was 9. And I believe, in my opinion, in my experience, because I assume that you're probably either a kid or you're somebody kind of hiding in your basement, your mom's house, but you might not have a lot of life experience. And when you do have a lot of life experience, and as you get older, you realize that boxing is extremely valuable. Learning jiu-jitsu, especially if you're younger, is extremely valuable. Or you can learn Western wrestling. You can learn some Hapkido. I think Brazilian jiu-jitsu is probably the best in that style of grappling. Judo is also excellent. Those are really hard on the body. And as you get older and your body doesn't work as well, your joints aren't as strong, and you need a force multiplier, and you're an 80-year-old man or 70 or 65 and your body doesn't move as fast, you hit your 50s and you're moving more slowly and you want to force accelerate, you want an extra tool, because you see all these criminals coming around and they're just aggressively, sometimes in groups and packs of 5, 10, 15 even, beating people in the street, and you need something that gives you more of a bite, right, than just a punch. I don't care who you are. You could be Mike Tyson. Maybe Mike Tyson could do it. Maybe Brock Lesnar, right? Maybe you could get Jocko Willink out in the middle of 10, 15 guys. But I guarantee you, they're not going to be grappling and holding somebody on the ground when somebody else is coming up, stomping him in his head. That's where the boxing comes in. But if you had a self-defense stick, you might be able to hit 2 or 3 of these guys in a way that makes the rest of them run away and get away from you. So that's why I like the tools like this, different self-defense tools that you could do. Let's see. Sorry, Mahir, I got a little personal with that. The comment about hiding your mom's space. I truly believe that that's true for a lot of people who hide behind fake names and come on YouTube and other social media and just try to tear other people's stuff down instead of showing what they can do. You know, use your own name, make your own channel. If you think boxing and jiu-jitsu is superior, teach boxing and jiu-jitsu. Go for it, you know? Prove me wrong by doing something, building yourself up instead of trying to tear somebody else down and giving out false information, all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna get into all that, but you know, have a little bit more life experience and a little bit more self-discipline. All right, so Garen says boxing, Muay Thai, Aikido, Kali, all a great combo. Absolutely, you know, especially, you know, when you learn how to fight with a weapon, all the weapon styles of martial arts come from open hand techniques, or they come from the other way around, depending on which culture they come from. A lot of times the sword was first, and then they taught the soldier, the fighter, how to fight. Once his sword breaks, or he loses his sword, then he has to go hand to hand. Just like in the military, when I was in the Marine Corps boot camp, first thing we learned how to do is practice with the rifle, shooting. Then you practice once your rifle runs out of bullets, or you can't reload because they've crossed the line and they're right there. Then you learn how to fight them with your rifle with nothing in it. Then they teach you how to fix bayonets because they know they're coming through the line. You take your long knife out and you stick it on the end of your rifle so that you can run somebody through when you have to. Then your bayonet breaks, your rifle breaks in half. Then you take off your helmet and you're smashing the guy for self-defense with your helmet or in a battle. And then you lose your helmet and it's hands and feet and teeth and whatever it is so that you go home to your family and he goes and meets his maker. And that's the reality of the training and the progression of training. But the tool usually is in there first because the tool is a force multiplier. So learn how to fight with the tool, learn how to fight with your hands, learn how to fight here and understand the principles of self-defense. Now the principles of self-defense we use come from Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer, which is in the description below. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend you get a copy and read it. Now we have these strikes, we practiced on the right. You can practice these in combination. And again, start slowly with one at a time, then start to speed it up. Then you can practice them in just 2 strike combinations. And then you go back to the other side. The next strike that I'll teach you here, now there is an upward strike that you can practice and learn. And there's a lot of value in this one coming from Filipino martial arts at Kale Eskrima Arnis. Striking this way, you know, he's got that knife, he's coming out, breaking his hand, coming down on the top of his head for self-defense. So you can learn that, but for purpose of can you defend yourself with the expandable steel self-defense baton, I want you to practice these 2, and then a horizontal strike coming through, and a horizontal strike coming back. And again, head level, body, thigh, knee, vicious, pit bull, off the leash, mauling your little wiener dog that you're taking for a walk. And are coming after you, or coming after your neighbor. You come into the house, you hear screaming, and there's a poor lady or a child in the street, or a man, and there's 5 or 6 pit bulls, or even 2 is enough to do it, or even 1 is enough to do it. And you come up, and no one's getting that dog off of that guy. But you had one of these, shove it in his mouth, pull him backward like this, and get him off of that, and using your steel self-defense, expandable steel self-defense stick, you could affect a change. You could help him maybe save his life, get that dog off of him. So a lot of uses for it. After these downward angular strikes, horizontal, I got carried away with the description of the dog, coming through, coming back. It's just because there was another story in the news here locally this week. Another person got mauled to death by someone's pit bull. And it was the same old story. He was a loving dog for 13 years. Everybody loved, you know, he loves, always gentle, always, until they're not, right? And then there they are. And I'm not getting into the argument whether, you know, that happens or not, because you can Google it almost daily and find a story somewhere. And it's not only just pit bulls, there are other dogs. And of course, some are more abused and they're more likely to do it. But there's so many stories out there. And I have so many people I've talked to and personally know, even in my family, who've lost their pet to a vicious pit bull, snatched him up, shook him to death, and then they got bit trying to get that. And it was always the same story. Well, that's never happened before. It was always such a loving dog. So if that happens to you, I want you to have some tool, whether it's a pit bull or something else. Maybe it's a little, you know, fluffy poodle gone crazy. It's got the rabies going around biting people. And you need to defend yourself with that. Or maybe like us, you know, you're in an area where people sometimes at night are walking and you'll see bobcats and you'll see coyotes. And if the dog or cat is out in your backyard, you let them out to pee, all of a sudden you hear the high-pitched screams, you run out back, and then there they are, the coyotes going after them. You've got your self-defense stick. All right, so we're going down, we're going across, and then I want you to add this 5th strike, which is just a vertical strike coming down, practicing on the other side, 1, 2, come across, come back, smashing down on top, and thinking about what you would remove or destroy. His ability to maybe hold, he's choking somebody, and maybe you're gonna smash his hand. He's throwing the punch at you, maybe you're gonna do an angular strike to knock it out. And that's why I want you to practice these in combination, because you might knock the hand out of there and come through and then come down to stop the fight so he stops attacking you or attacking somebody else, and you've practiced strikes in combination. And you can build the strikes any way you want, but just think of angles, think of an X. You can do an X down, you can do that X up like we talked about earlier. You can do these horizontal strikes at every level. You can do vertical strikes coming straight down. You can do vertical strikes coming straight up if you want. And then grabbing your hands, 2 hands on the expandable baton, you can also smash, pushing this hard steel through his teeth, through his nose, through his eyes, and make him and back him up. Garen says it's not always a pit bull. That's absolutely true. Yeah, they have those big, massive caracal cats these days. Never Satisfies asks, is the expandable baton better than the bow? It's almost like, is pickup truck better than a Ferrari? Totally 2 different categories of four-tired vehicles, right? 4-wheeled vehicles. So it depends on what you want to use it for. The bow gives you reach advantage because it's a 6-foot stick. The expandable baton, I opened a little bit too strong last time because it kept collapsing on me. That's how you close it, by the way. You smack it. This one's getting a little worn out because it's been used for so long. But this one's small. So this can be carried in your bag. If you're working on your duty belt, if that's your job. And, or you can just, you could have it in the pocket of a hoodie if you had to for self-defense, and you're allowed to carry it where you live. Have it in the house, in a drawer next to the bed, so you can pop it out. All those places you can't carry your bow staff. You might be able to carry your bow on a hike or a walk if you're walking the dog, but bow is really a 2-handed weapon because it's so long. This is mostly a 1-handed weapon. You can put 2 hands on it. Like I showed you, smash him back. You can box his ears. You can step in and strike here. You can lift this up. But when you run into his body, you run into the force, it's going to collapse it. I can't do it by hand and open it too hard again. With enough force, it'll collapse. So it's not really perfectly a 2-handed weapon, but it is a good, as Elnar says, it's a lovely pocket weapon. It is a good pocket weapon. Garen says, where I am, we've got pythons. They're coming north too. They keep finding them in neighborhoods around here now. They were just south in the Everglades, but we're right close to the Everglades, kind of at the northern, eastern tip. We have this massive, especially where I live, we're surrounded by animal preserve. So we get big gators out back behind the house, and we get big snakes from time to time, which I love. I love all the wild animals. Pythons are not natives, they eat everything. So if you see a python or an iguana, you're encouraged to remove it. And it's a very simple thing they do, but they usually stick a screwdriver through its head, and it's nasty. But that's the official, the screwdriver or pike or knife or whatever, you have to remove it. So it's the humane way to take them out. Some guys down here trap them, but as soon as you trap one, especially an iguana, you've got to finish it off. Or a python. The pythons have to be removed. You can't, because they get big. And they have a hybrid snake now. The python and the boa or something have mated, and they're getting up to like 20, 22 feet that they're finding. But it's pretty crazy. Zoe asks, can this break the window? It can. You wouldn't want to hit it straight on. That's too much surface. The key to breaking a window, especially in a car, if you're stuck in the canal, is the edge. You would smash it with the edge. And you'll see sometimes law enforcement will be trying to break a window, they'll be hitting it over and over again. That's just because they're hitting it wrong. If you turn it at a slight angle and you smash it, then you'll more likely be able to break it with that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if you could use this against an alligator. Those things, their skin is like this stuff. I'd better run out of there. Yeah, Doug says the expandable baton is the tool and your mind is the weapon. Walking cane with reinforced core and the crowbar. You could always keep that in your car. That's a good option too. Elnar asks, is blunt weapon for women, is that good? Do you need more strength? Elnar, if this is going to increase the force of your strike, if you don't have a lot of strength, I also recommend and I'm not like an either or. I don't say get this over pepper gel. Pepper spray is what people have always carried. Pepper gel though is a little bit more concentrated in a gel, and it sticks to them and it burns for longer, and it's less likely to blow back in your face. So women are often recommended I carry pepper spray when I work at night on my duty belt. As security, I'm not a police officer, but when I carry that, I'm always aware that if I spray somebody, I'm gonna eat it. Now where I work, I don't think I'm ever gonna even run into anybody in the middle of the night, but it has happened, so it's possible. And if you didn't want to use a lethal option, there's your non-lethal. This is another great non-lethal. So that's why you often see police officers have several, usually 3 non-lethal options. They'll have a taser, and it's usually on the opposite side of their duty gun. They'll have an expandable baton, which most law enforcement officers will tell you they never will take out because they don't want to be the next person seen on camera whacking somebody over and over again to try to make them comply, and then they end up going to jail and there's the next summer of love and all that stuff. So they usually will not use it unless there's no other choice. That's why I think so many people are getting shot unnecessarily, because law enforcement has been cowed into submission and they're not able to use some of the other non-lethal self-defense tools. Pepper spray, same thing. They understand you take that pepper spray out and you spray somebody, you better be willing to fight with pepper spray all over you, because when you touch that guy or you get close enough or he gets close enough to you, you're both covered in that pepper spray. So your nose is running, your eyes are running, you're choking on your own snot, and so is he. So there are multiple levels, but my point is, instead of choosing just one, especially if you're a woman, I would suggest you can use a force multiplier like this. So think about how hard you can punch, right? I was gonna chop and then I punched. Think about how hard you can punch or slap or knife strike or palm strike